What's going on, New Party family? As we close out this year, this is our best of the ManCave show, and tonight we're tackling one of the biggest questions in conservative youth politics. This is not about rumors or disrespect. This is a thought experiment. If Charlie Kirk taking Charlie's place and taking the mantle of Turning Point USA, who takes the torch? And more importantly, who will become the face of young conservatism? Charlie Kirk didn't just build Turning Point. He built a movement, college campuses, high school chapters, social media dominance, and a pipeline of young conservatives. So the question is, who will replace Charlie? But Charlie is unreplaceable, and we also honor him and pay homage to him. As we head into the new year, we want to thank every single one of you who watched, commented, argued, agreed, and showed up. Whether you're conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, questioning, or just paying attention, we appreciate you. Stay critical, stay bold, and don't let anyone tell you you don't matter and your vote doesn't count. Happy New Year from the New Party team and the ManCave show. We'll see you in the next one.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Described him as one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
Welcome to the ManCave. Welcome to the ManCave. I'm Gray Mars.
Doc. And Billions, what's good?
And we got a guest, Mr. Rippey. Mr. Rippey, before you talk about, where you're from and everything, I'm going to play a video because you actually met Charlie Kirk and you made a response to his death. So we'll let the video play and then you can tell your feelings about it.
All right.
Now, before I say what I really want to say, I just want to start off by saying Charlie Kirk was not a Nazi. He was not a fascist. He was not a misogynist. He was not any of those things that you've been conditioned to believe. For all the people that celebrating the death, it just goes to show who you are. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't think it bothers most of us, but it shows exactly who the so-called tolerant left really is. Because Charlie Kirk was actually, he was a great man. He was a man with integrity. He was a family man. He was a man that was one of the bravest people I've ever met. And for him to be out there in the trenches, putting in the work. You have to admire that. You really do. As many death threats as this man has received, he was still out there fighting the good fight. And it reminds me of, like, he got the young people on his side. The young people who were brainwashed by the college institutions, propaganda machines. And, like, it reminds me of a time where my niece, she was anti-Trump, she was anti-Republican, she was anti-Charlie. She didn't want to hear anything until she actually started listening to Charlie. That's what it takes. Actually start to listen. And then she became a fan, to the point where I invited her to this event that we were doing with Charlie. And we were all backstage chilling, and I walked up to her and said, hey man, my niece, she was anti-Charlie Kirk, she was anti-Trump, but now she's a fan. Do you mind if I bring her back here for her to meet you? He said, of course. That's what type of person he is. He's a genuine person. I took my niece back there, met her, she was so happy, and we took a picture, and I texted her last night about this stuff, and we had a pretty good conversation, because I am scheduled to be at the college campuses at the end of the month, University of Utah. I'm scheduled to be out there, and obviously that's not going to happen anymore. I've been at plenty of college campuses with Charlie. I've done multiple events with him. And for people to think taking out the biggest conservative voice is going to start to silence us, I promise it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You only ignited our voices. As much work as I was doing over the past couple of years with all these organizations, traveling, speaking at events, hosting events, debating people, going on the news, as loud as I was, I am extra loud. I'm 10xing it. You can never shut us up. I'm louder than I've ever been.
Mr. Rippey, you actually have an inside knowledge. So, you want to fill us in. I know Blex is a part of the Turning Point and what you do.
Yeah. So basically, people with the loudest opinions from the outside, they don't realize how relevant their opinion are, because what they're doing is that they're listening to certain clips, clickbait, and reading certain headlines, just like what was showed at the beginning of this video. Not the video that we did, but the video that y'all showed was, he's one of the most dangerous people out there. How is that possible? Like, when I first met Charlie, he was cool as I don't know what. Then he remembered me the next time I was with him. And then he ended up meeting my wife. And every time I see him, how's your wife doing? He calls her name. How's she doing? How's she doing? We did so many events together. And for people to say all these terrible things about this guy, not realizing that he actually done more for the black community than any of these critics out there. All these black celebrities out there talking about y'all are victims and stuff like that. This person right here, as she started the Black Coalition movement, he follows Blexit. So Blexit is on the Turning Point, as you know. But I knew Charlie before we started with Blexit. And of course, Blexit, we focus on putting money into the black community, focus on being black business owners, school of choice, putting fathers back into the home, putting the families back together, criminal justice reform. These are the things that Charlie Kirk was a huge advocate for, and he worked day in and day out with us, focusing on these things. So I admire the guy. He's the person I've ever met outside of President Trump. He out there, don't matter what. He doesn't care about anybody's opinion about him. He's still out there doing it, preaching the truth, and he doesn't care.
You met Trump too?
Yeah, I met Trump a few times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So before Doc and Kim respond, I want to play some more of Charlie's supporters and how they say he affected them.
He actually played a big role in how I thought about politics and how I put politics and God together. One day I was scrolling on TikTok. It was probably 2020, and I found him, and I really just loved what he was saying.
I think her finding him helped her develop that sense of confidence. This will affect us.
I wanted to come put balloons or flowers, pay my respects.
Up was so heartbroken.
I bet.
When they told me Charlie was dead. Just because somebody says something you don't like doesn't mean you get to kill people. He didn't deserve it. I am 10 years old, and how I learned about Charlie Kirk was he did these really great shows. And one of the most important things that he said is, I love God, I love my family, and I love my country.
Kind of said what we were all thinking. Just that traditional families that's just how families are supposed to be done. That's what resonated with a lot of us.
I'm not really big on politics. I was a little bit more in between and just kept the peace and didn't speak my mind. Honestly, going forward, this makes me more empowered to feel a little bit more conservative and speak my mind, honestly, because I'm just so sick of it.
It feels we're on the brink of something that's a little bit scary, but a little bit revolutionary.
And passing is just, I feel like, hard on everyone in our community right now.
So, Doc, how do you feel about the Charlie Kirk supporters? Feel like their lives were genuinely changed by what Charlie was doing, the work he was doing for the Republican Party?
I think that's a testament to actually, how broad the message was and how big the message is, how many people he has supporting it. Do I think Charlie Kirk is outright racist? No. Do I think that he made some statements and some points that didn't agree with the Black community and didn't agree with people of several different communities based on what he believed in? Of course. And if these people feel like their lives are changed by the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that's the history of America. If you take a big position, if you have a loud voice and you put yourself out there, the history of America is that you risk your life doing that, So, but these people make it like Charlie, that demographic that you see in those videos, that's the demographic that killed Charlie Kirk. When I see Charlie Kirk surrounded at this last speaking engagement he had, Charlie Kirk isn't surrounded by Black people in the Black community. I know he said he did a lot for the Black community. He might have done a lot for Black people that agreed with him, or he might have helped out Black. But I mean, he's surrounded by his people, preaching his message to them. And ultimately, if you take such a position like that, you risk your life in the car.
Okay, Ken, I think Doc froze. Ken, what you think?
I think conservative Christians have a persecution kink because the narrative is being framed on why he died, but the shooter hasn't said anything. So it's being framed, he died because of his beliefs and he died for this. Where's this information coming from? Right? So there is this need to feel like your viewpoint is persecuted. First off, your religion is not illegal. You can pick it up, put it down whenever you want. Owning the Declaration of Independence is not illegal. Like there's this need to feel like you are being persecuted, and most people are just getting up, going to work every day. In fact, you wouldn't know half of the stuff going on if your algorithm wasn't set to it. So you choose to engage in that. You wouldn't know what was going on unless you turned on Fox News. Again, you choose to watch that. Right? You choose to watch TV. So you choose to go towards the thing you feel like is persecuting you. You choose to scroll on the videos that you are scrolling on, right? The shooter has not said anything on why he did what he did. So it's being framed, he died for his faith. Who said that? Right? The whole thing was the left. Come to find out, this is he got another op that nobody knew about, Nick Fuentes. Right. So it's just an interesting thing of the dominant society is the biggest victim I've ever seen in my life.
Right. So let's get to the main thing, the accusations of him being racist. So here are those clips that people accuse of him being racist.
I see a Black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
When Blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that? And the data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened?
A certain skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh, wow, look how far Blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Remember what BLM stands for: burn, loot, and murder.
Yeah, DEI stands for
one of the biggest.
Didn't earn it, just so we're clear.
Can we also acknowledge, due to the laws under Jim Crow, that Black people were significantly hindered from economic advancement?
This is a really important question. The data shows not really. Black Americans are poorer today in 2024 than they were in the 1950s. The disappearance of the Black father has been the #1 driver of Black poverty in this country. At least agree that Black dads not being around is a bad thing.
Anyone's father not being around is a bad thing. Starting in the 1980s and continuing onward, there's been a war on drugs. Is this correct?
I like the war on drugs. Blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. That's not a war on drugs, that's a culture problem. Why are so many blacks committing murders outside of their population? So we've spent $20 trillion on uplifting black communities, $20 trillion, and Black Americans are poor. Food stamps, subsidized housing, Medicaid, public schooling, subsidized college. We're talking about $20 trillion that has been spent on the Great Society, and yet Black America is poorer, more murderous, more dangerous.
Part of
what does equity mean?
is
you mean taking
allowed-
from other people?
Sorry.
I see everybody in the chat saying it's half clips. We gotta just do small clips for the time. But Doc, I know that you know who Charlie Kirk is. Do you feel like Charlie Kirk is racist?
Not at all.
Okay.
What about you? I feel like he.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would put the racist tag on him. He's definitely a white man who's not in touch with what happened in black culture or what's going on in the black systems of America. I mean, he's definitely out of touch with that. Does he have some points that could come off as racist? Yeah, I mean, saying black people commit more crimes than white people is just a flat out lie. You can go look that up. I've done a study on it. I actually wrote a paper on it when I was in school. That's not true. They'll try to use words like per capita to make their point and, all these things. Do black people commit crimes? Of course. But I think he needed that spice to add to that, to incite these people who look like him and dress like him and walk and talk like him to follow him. And I think part of having that position is what, allowed people to, because certain people feel like this, and it's why they follow them and why they listen to them.
Before Ken and Mr. Rippey respond, because I want to be fair, because people are showing those clips, but it's also clips where he's not being racist. So I'll play this from Kaizen, where he was actually saying that race is just a social construct.
Guy you're calling a racist?
One thing that white people and black people have different biologically.
Don't change the question of this. Like DNA-wise, we are different.
No, we're not. That's a lie. It has been disproven. Front page of National Geographic 6 months ago. Racism created by society. Race is a social construct that I want to break out of.
Hold up. He doesn't even believe in race. The Oxford English Dictionary defines racism as prejudice based on race, or the belief that some races are inherently superior. But if Charlie's a racist, why is he arguing race doesn't exist? If he's a white supremacist, doesn't he need race to be real? I mean, you can't be a racial supremacist while arguing racial categories are fake. And wait a sec, race has been used to justify oppressing black people for centuries. So why is the black kid defending racial categories while the white supremacist wants to destroy them? This isn't new for Charlie. He's been saying this for years. And guess what? He's right. Here's the history of race. People always noticed skin color, but it mattered about as much as hair color. Slavery existed everywhere, and it was practiced by every skin.
All right. So, Mr. Rippey, do you feel the same way?
Well, I just want to talk about the clip that y'all showed before. I'm trying to find something racist in what Charlie Kirk was saying. He's basically saying, hold yourselves accountable, take accountability. And every time somebody says black people start holding themselves accountable, they're labeled as a terror person, even though it's just the truth. So the numbers that he talked about when it came down to prior to the Civil Rights Act being passed, black people weren't actually thriving. We're outpacing white people in wealth accumulation because all the money stayed in the community. So you want to talk about redlining and talk about the oppression, talk about Jim Crow laws and things like that. At the end of the day, all the money stayed within the community. That means the millionaires did not move out of the community. They would stay in there. And that's the reason why black people are outpacing white people in wealth accumulation. Once the Civil Rights Act got passed, Lyndon Baines Johnson put in the Great Society Act, which made the woman married to the government. And then they put drugs into the black community, which, of course, they're talking about the war on drugs, which is very detrimental because a bunch of politicians put together some crime bills that caused mass incarceration of people of color. unfortunately, with the 100 to 1 bill, the 94 crime bill. So it's all been systemically set up for us to fail. But prior to the Civil Rights Act being passed, you didn't hear nothing about crime like that. You didn't, unless it was like racial crime, but you didn't hear nothing about, the grandparents scared of scared of the black grandkids, because black people we are killing each other. You look at the most highly cities with the highest crime rate. It's usually predominantly black, and it's so unfortunate because we're doing everything in our power to to focus on criminal justice reform, put the fathers back into the home, and start focusing on a thriving black culture, black society, and put money into the black community, put money into education in the black community, and get us back to a thought process that we have where we're actually thriving and focus on being family oriented and stopping the violence instead of looking at ourselves as a victim and looking at the outside. This is racist, and that is racist. That's my opinion of what has to stop. And I agree with Charlie on that.
Ken, what about you?
When you say this, though, you say you go and you say this this violence that was going on, it wasn't going on in this community. That's disingenuous for Charlie Kirk to say, because he's not going to go and say, I just had an uncle just die. My uncle was 89 years old. My uncle was Charlie Kirk's age before they got rid of Jim Crow. So Charlie Kirk doesn't have no idea about Forsyth, Georgia, hanging black men from trees out here. He doesn't know about the social racism. My uncle was 30 years old before he could walk through the front door of these businesses that are downtown. Charlie Kirk doesn't speak about that part of the black.
I agree.
He didn't. We didn't keep it in the black community because we wanted to. We kept it because we had to. It was an institution set in America. So when he says, "Oh, you're outpacing," we were staying in our community. We were forced. That was a social construct forced to keep us there. That stunts your growth.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that. He talks about the Jim Crow. He talked about the harsh things I went through, the people that got lynched in Tennessee. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying we had a certain mindset. We focused on family values back then that we don't focus on now. I mean, back in 1950, 4 out of every 5 black kids have both parents. Today, only 1 out of every 5 black kids have both parents. Minister Farrakhan speaks on this. Barack Obama speaks on this. But when Mr. Rippey and Charlie Kirk speaks on this, it's always being shunned upon. But that's, in reality, if a kid grows up without a father, that kid is 20 times more likely to end up in prison. It just was simply set up for us to fail. And then they put it in our culture as well. And our culture is very detrimental. I mean, we look at every time we look at something in the entertainment industry that's ran by white people that want to keep black people down, they push in a certain agenda. That's the reason why the overdose rate has increased by like 1,800% in the past 5 years, because they went from talking about selling drugs in the 90s in hip hop to doing drugs in hip hop over the past 5 years. We see the pattern. And the thing is, we got to get these fathers back into the home, start being fathers again, and focus on the family structure. I think we're all in agreement with that.
Before Ken respond, Nathan, thank you for the True super chat. W. Mr. Rippey, this don't know goes to him. And thank you, Patricia. Patricia didn't say anything, but thank you for the super chat. Ken, what's your thoughts?
So when Mr. Rippey is saying get the fathers back in the home, how would you go about that?
All right, so a blessing, of course. I mean, I'm sure y'all heard of the First Step Back, right?
Yeah.
So of course, First Step Back. What happened was there was a lot of black people that was released from prison from nonviolent drug offenses. We had the war on drugs that caused mass incarceration of black people. So what we're doing is we are working with politicians to get these people's sentences either massively reduced or completely expunged. So we're focusing on how to remove felonies so that these black men can actually go apply for jobs without no type of restrictions. They're actually able to vote. They actually be able to be a member of society, because these kids need fathers that's been set up to lead down a path that wasn't really meant for us to ever lead down. And they just made one mistake and come to all these stupid crime bills. They just locked up all these black folks. We need to get them out. And we have, the First Step Back has released thousands of black men and put them back into society, remove their felonies. And we constantly keep doing it over and over and over. We're still doing it. We're actually working on something right now that's going to be really big, and it's going to hit in December.
So are the majority of black fathers that are not in the home, are they in jail?
No. Not the
majority. So the ones that are not in jail, how do you get them back in the home?
Well, the ones that are not in jail. So we are basically, first thing first, I'm sure everybody know about the fact that with the welfare state, what they used to do is they used to go inside the home of the women, make sure there are no men there. So they have been conditioned to separate the family. So we need to get in there through education. I think we need to focus on the youth, focus on the young people, because older people, their brain has been so screwed up that it's kind of hard to get them to think about a different ideology that they had their whole entire lives. So we get to focus on the young people, talking about the family structure, how to be a father with Boys and Girls Club, Big Brother programs. These are things that we have going on because there are a lot of teenagers out here having kids. And what is the result? Either I can't afford this baby, I have to go, or we're just going to struggle, or we're just going to go to an abortion clinic. There are alternative routes there, and we are here to help.
Now, during Jim Crow, the lynching that was going on, those men were fathers and married.
Yeah.
So if every black man that you seen on the street or that was in jail, if all of a sudden they were at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would, and this is historical fact, right? And if white Americans would continue to be disenfranchised because of automation and jobs being outsourced, and they're not able to make income, would violence against black men pick up like we seen in the early 19th century?
No.
No?
No.
Why you say that?
I don't think so. So you're asking if
because one of the things when we never talk about why a lot of these homes are fatherless, there was a lot of families that had men in it that were lynched. Those were married men. They had great jobs. They were Christian men, non-violent men, right? When we talk about fatherless home, we always we never actually deal with the psychology of a white American male when he's poor.
Yes, because it's the same problem doesn't exist in white America. I said this in 1950, prior to the Civil Rights Act, 4 out of every 5 black kids have both parents. So even if we look at the black people being lynched, which is, it's tragic. It happens. It's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, why are we lynching ourselves today is what I'm trying to figure out.
I want to read.
Beyond.
Shout out to Cool Eric 95, $20 super chat. Big thanks to you. Lyndon B. Johnson literally was a devout racist and shouted from the rooftops what the plan was and has been working ever since. I don't know what more any black person needs to know.
He literally said, once we get these niggas on government assistance, they're going to be voting Democrat for the next 200 years. They literally destroyed the black family, and we see the results.
Well, before everybody else goes, I want to play this clip because people are basically saying that all the violence is coming from the left. The left is blaming the right. So who really is the problem?
We don't need it. What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know. There's absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked about?
You want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
She doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your. What about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm. We are honest and we are resolute. We're not defensive. And I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact to this, your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So Therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear, and I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was horrified by it. I have not been on the five
but
since
the two
then,
sides argument, well, it's like pig Latin to a duck.
No. All that I was saying is could we have all of the information before you just say they did this? Because that is a broad brush to paint with this. And this kid
Let's have a conversation.
No.
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. Look, I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold. And I'm sorry, but this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good. And we all have to deal with that. So that means we can't live by the same arguments that you might be reading about relativism among the media. We can't deal with those stories. It doesn't matter. The media is dead to us on this story. They built this thing up. We're dealing with it. We're going to act. We don't care what the whataboutism is anymore. That shit's dead. Sorry. For the swearing as well. I apologize to the American public. I'm going to shut up for the rest of the show.
Well, that was a lot. We got another super chat from Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. When discourse ends, violence begins. Thank you guys for continuing to debate and educate each other with love and respect. I think that's a quote from Charlie Kirk. Doc, is it both sides?
Of course it's both sides. It's radical leftists, it's radical people on the right, it's radical from both sides. I think and those are the people who get the spotlight. I think the more radical they are, the more attention people give them. They know this. That's just the American way. We want to hear the biggest, loudest, most controversial take, and then we want to get on live and argue about it. I mean, people are making inferences online about what the shooter liked, who the shooter dated, was the shooter trans to begin. I think Charlie Kirk had a big message. People resonated with it, and some people vehemently opposed it. And I think that's something that can cost you your life in this country. Like that's just real. And I take it back to one of my biggest things is I think Charlie would have respected it had he even knew it ended this way. I think one of his points was there's an acceptable amount of deaths for us to have our Second Amendment rights. And I think people agreed with him when they didn't think he would be part of that acceptable amount. And I think that that's just the American way. Like there are going to be people who commit crimes, and a crime was committed against Charlie Kirk and it cost him his life. It shouldn't have. But that's just the way it is here. It shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it is.
All right, but we got another $20 super chat. Shout out to Cool Eric. Appreciate it. Another 20. Yes, the radical get the spotlight because they cause the biggest reaction out of people. Very, very really has anybody just walked down the street and had someone go into a racial tirade for no reason. I mean, how do y'all feel about what he said?
I don't think Cool Eric ever lived in the South. I done caught a couple of stray niggas walking down the street before. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't to talk about just the complete, all white people. That was just that white person was a racist, overt racist. But there's some stray niggas out here. You'll catch one. You walk down some of these streets down here in the South. That's disingenuous.
Well, what I also want to talk about is a lot of people are losing their jobs and losing money because of what they're saying about Charlie Kirk. So I'll let Mr. Rippey and Ken respond on this. But this guy was performing, and he basically is losing shows now because he said something about Charlie Kirk.
Yo, real quick. At no point during yesterday's show was Charlie Kirk's death celebrated.
I want to dedicate this next one to an absolute piece of shit of a human being.
At no point whatsoever did we celebrate Charlie Kirk's death.
The pronouns were.
I did call him a piece of shit. That much is true. But at no point was his death celebrated. If it was, go find me a quote, go find me something that proves that we were celebrating his death.
Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you piece of shit!
You're not going to find it, because it didn't happen.
Because if you chat shit, you will get banned!
What did happen is one reporter that bought their ticket online came with the sole purpose of finding something to report, and after I called him a piece of shit and we played a song, they have written that up as a celebration. Not a celebration.
Oh shit!
Isn't a celebration, wasn't a celebration. Calm down.
I want to dedicate this next one to an absolute piece of shit of a human being. The pronouns were. Because if you chat shit, you will get banned! Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you piece of shit! Oh shit!
Mr. Rippey, how do you feel about what that guy said?
I think he's pathetic, but at the end of the day, I don't think most people should be silenced. I mean, I'm such a First Amendment advocate. I think you should say whatever you want, because once you start punishing people for just speaking, I mean, Charlie Kirk was killed for it, and now people just saying all kind of, like the radical right, radical left, people making up certain things. People on the left tomorrow, oh, he followed Nick Fuentes. But I mean, I followed Nick Fuentes and also followed David Pacman and Roland Martin, which I disagree with them. So, and then people are saying that he was in a relationship with a transgender person. But celebrating somebody's death is something that I would never do. But I don't think people should be punished for just speaking and cracking jokes. It's terrible. Like I don't condone it. And everybody in our audience are terrible, pathetic people. But I'm just not about, unless I know about this nurse that lost her job because she was out there celebrating Charlie Kirk does say all fascist people, strong right wingers should be killed. Like, you're a nurse. What if somebody come in there with a Make America Great Again hat on? Would you really take care of this person? So that's understanding. But a musician, just do what you do. I'm not going to support it, but I don't care. Doesn't offend me.
Cool Eric spinning bread. Cool Eric, shout out to you, bro. So I go friends that grew up in Louisiana. My best friend moved to Atlanta. I'm from Rhode Island. And I've been told by all of them the North is more racist than the South. Ken, how do you feel about that comment? I know you're in Arizona. Do you feel like the North is more racist than the South? And how do you feel about that video that you just saw?
Okay, so for one, my view on racism is way different. My view on racism is not words. My view on racism is power, right? You got the power to keep me from making money, right? Words is words. If old black people could come back alive and look at what we consider racism, they would probably think we pussy. Like, seriously though, what racism is to us. Racism to me is not what you feel about me. Racism is what you do about me. So I'm highly qualified I have the skill set, I have the education, and you are creating boundaries that I can't make money. I can't get housing. I can't get clean water. You calling me a nigger or a monkey or making monkey sounds, I could either punch you in the mouth or I could charge it to the game and keep it pushing. So I don't go off that. That's prejudice to me. In American history, what people know as racism in the early 18th, 19th century is a power dynamic. Power was being forced on them, not word. Those people had thick skin. That's one. Two, that definitely was a celebration of Charlie Kirk's death because it's a concert. So that's a celebration. So with the language, you're celebrating his death. My thing is stand on it though. Just straight up stand on it. You know what I'm saying? And you look, don't say nothing out your mouth if you're not willing to go to jail, kill, or die about it. Don't say it. This is not a game. That's one. And lastly, just because I love something don't mean that you have to love it too. Meaning, if my loved one died, just because that's my loved one, I don't know where we get this rule that you can't say shit about the dead. The dead can't hear you. It's the living that's offended. So I don't know where people get this thing just because that's your man's, that's your family member, that's your people's, that other people have to feel a certain type of way about it. This country celebrated when Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, and bin Laden were killed. All those men had wives. They were all married. They were terrorists to us, but heroes to other people. And people here openly on the media celebrated their death. So no, we'll celebrate a person's death. It just depends what religion they are. It depends what politics they are. And it depends who they are. But we definitely celebrate people's death openly.
Well, people are saying that Charlie Kirk doesn't deserve a state funeral. They held the flags at half mast, and J.D. Vance, the vice president, went and flew his body to Arizona. So I'll let this guy explain it.
This message is mostly directed at Don Lemon and those that are against the funeral procession of Charlie Kirk. Don Lemon said, why does he get a funeral by the state? Well, Don Lemon, we give two shits about what you think. We really do. As a matter of fact, we could spend $1 billion on Charlie Kirk's funeral. I wouldn't give two shits, and most of us would not, that know who Charlie Kirk really is. Don Lemon, did you have this conversation with your people when you guys were tearing out the country concerning George Floyd? Were you talking about all the money that it cost us to rebuild these cities? George Floyd was a nobody. George Floyd had no honor. See, Charlie Kirk is getting buried in the way he is because he is a man of honor. You choose not to believe that, that's on you. But George Floyd, for sure, was a nobody who you guys gave great honor to while he was while the people that was worshiping him were tearing up the city and states in his name. And somebody was making billions of dollars off that chaos. So don't come talking to us, we conservatives, and the president of the United States, how we bury one of our fallen soldiers, even though he was not in the military. He was a soldier for this country. And you may believe it or not, he was a soldier for your children as well, Don Lemon. So don't talk to us about how we bury our dead, our warriors, our heroes. And you're not anybody to tell us who our heroes are. Because obviously yours are all the ones that tore up every fucking thing in this country. There's a reason why you don't work at CNN. You were so stupid at CNN, they couldn't stand you. Now it's our turn.
Mr. Rippey, does Charlie Kirk deserve a state funeral even though he wasn't a government employee?
I don't see. So I'm kind of confused because he's done so much. I mean, was a government employee? There's so many people out there that does movements.
Your service slowing up, Mr. Rippey. You're slowing up. Doc, you were in the military. Do you feel like Charlie Kirk deserves to get all of this from the government?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think he deserves it. I think he should have that funeral, and I think he should have it like that. Let's switch the roles. I'm Donald Trump, great Charlie Kirk. You my mans. I get on TV right now and say I do not care what them people think, and we're gonna throw my mans the biggest celebration ever. He supported him. He helped get him elected. If for no other reason, he should get up there. I think Trump should get up there and say, "Yo, that was my man's." And even if you ain't like he get another term, that was my man's. Even if you don't like it, I believe this. This is what I want to do. I'm the president. I'm gonna do it. And that would be my position. Like that, I just think that he earned that sort of support from Trump. From the message he preached, how he supported him, how he backed him. So if Trump going to do that, I think even if people dislike it, they're gonna respect it. I'll respect it. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my position on it. Like I wouldn't care if he got up there and say, "Yo, that's my dog," and I don't care if y'all don't like it. Get on the internet and talk about it. You feel me? That's all you're gonna do anyway. You feel me?
Yeah.
We're gonna have protection at this joint. So that's just me. You feel me? But that's how I would have carried it. I think that's how Trump should carry it. He carried it like that with everything else, bro.
You were saying something, Mr. Rick?
I was saying I agree. Like he is a victim of voice. He's probably the main reason why Trump got elected. I mean, this guy was in churches every day, all day with his conversations. And maybe this opened me up to something that I didn't think about.
For sure. Ken, what about you? You think he deserves a state funeral?
For sure. I mean, I got to be fair. Nipsey Hussle had a funeral at the Staples Center, the Crypto Center. I gotta be fair. You know what I'm saying? Charlie Kirk. I watched Charlie. You know what I'm saying? There was things I disagree with, but I can listen to people that I disagree with. Though I know there is some people that are 18 to 30 that voted based on the movement that Charlie was doing. Right? In terms of a grinder, he was a grinder. You know what I'm saying? He stayed at college campuses. He was beating his feet. You know what I'm saying? So if very important people want to honor him that way, I agree with it. Again, I seen a rapper, Nipsey Hussle. He had a funeral at the Crypto Center. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I gotta keep it fair. So yeah, spend whatever money you want on him. Like he was very impactful. People love him. Like when people love you, you can't tell other people how to celebrate you.
For sure. Well, we have breaking news right before this. Trump is now sending troops to Memphis.
Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee, who's standing with us, as you know. I'm signing a presidential memorandum to establish the Memphis Safe Task Force, and it's very important because of the crime that's going on, not only in Memphis, in many cities, and we're going to take care of all of them. Step by step, just like we did in D.C. We have virtually no crime in D.C. right now, and we're going to keep it that way. It's our nation's capital. We're going to keep it that way, or we're going to federalize it if we had to, but we don't have to anymore because it's in such great shape. This task force will be a replica of our extraordinarily successful efforts here, and you'll see it's a lot of the same thing, although the numbers here are really something. They're really bad. Now, we did send FBI in about 4 months ago to work, and it brought some of the numbers down, and they did a great job, but we're sending in the big force now. We also sent them into Chicago on a sort of a moderate basis, and we brought down crime a little bit in Chicago, but we're now going to bring it down very big. We're going to be doing Chicago probably next. I was with a great businessman, a man who is involved in all cities through his business. And I say, who do you think should be next after Memphis? And he said, sir, you've got to save Chicago. We're going to wait a little while. But he said, you got to save Chicago. You can't let it go. And this is a very prominent man that everybody knows in this room. Another man in Memphis was saying, Bill, he was saying, very interesting, he's on the board of FedEx.
Ken, how do you feel about Trump sending the National Guard to Memphis?
I mean, for the elders and stuff like that don't feel safe, I get it. But at the same time, nothing changes about the conditions that the people are in. Only thing you're doing is just having poor people behave themselves. That's what it is. Them not being poor doesn't change. Their economic situation doesn't change. Only thing we are going to do is not shoot. And my problem with this, though, is the biggest crimes in America are done politically and financially. Those political and financial crimes, the trickle down effect is it breaks the back of the poor, right? The crime is being done in the mayor's office. We know for a fact that police put drugs on the street. We know for a fact that police put guns on the street, right? So you can send these military forces into these environments to stop the shooting, right? The only thing it does is you poor niggas behave yourself. That's all it's doing. Behave yourself. Let these old ladies walk down the street. But the conditions, this is a capitalist society. These people have capitalism problems. So only thing we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. But we're not talking about economic empowerment. Nothing changes. It's just a bunch of well-behaved niggas with a low body count, with a low body rate. But they're still malnutrition. Reading literacy is terrible, right? Their conditions don't change. You just got a militarized area.
Before Mr. Rippey and Doc respond, I want to play JD Vance because he actually filled in for Charlie Kirk on his show. So they're trying to still keep the show going, even though Charlie Kirk has passed away. But here's a clip.
There is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the people who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree. Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation, the groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment? They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us? By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years. I am desperate for our country to be united in condemnation of the actions and the ideas that killed my friend. I want it so badly that I will tell you a difficult truth. We can only have it with people who acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable, and when we work to dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country.
Cool, Eric. Shout out to you again. Honest conversation can't happen until people sit down and listen to 24 hours of everything they don't want to hear, honestly digest it, and go from there with a conversation. I 1,000% agree with you. Mr. Rippey, can there be any unity between the right and the left? You're very much into right-wing politics, so can there be any unity? I think he froze. I think you have internet issues. Oh, yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
So, I mean,
can y'all hear him?
No, he's choppy.
Yeah, you choppy, Mr. Rippey. But we got another super chat. Stay safe, y'all. Toki, Doc, do you feel like there could be any unity between the right and the left?
I think the majority of people are in the middle and want what's best for, America and American people. I think there will always be certain groups on the right and certain groups of the left that can't disagree. But I think you can bring the majority of people together because this country is together because it's only going to be advantageous for us. So I think we can bring the majority of people together. I don't think you'll ever be able to bring people all into one thought process, one mind state, and have them all together. But it seems like if we don't work on getting it now, that it may never be possible because the gap seems to be getting bigger. The division seems to be getting bigger. And so I think now is one of the best times that we'll have to try to go for that if we're going to try to do it.
Well, we all black on here, so I want to play one last. You good? I want to play one last clip before we get to the final thoughts. I'm gonna go to you first, Mr. Rubin.
Before you do that, Gary, can I
go
respond
ahead.
to that?
Yeah. Okay, you good now? Go ahead.
So basically, I think first thing first is we got to be willing to have a conversation. A lot of times, people not willing to jump on to have a conversation. That's what Charlie Kirk was all about. Is conversing because we have people funding different entities. Either it's a mainstream media from Fox News saying one thing, mainstream media, CNN, and they using these trigger words to divide the country. But it's a bigger, higher power out there that's controlling everything. That's why we see these get the money out of politics. Because once I came out and said I'm voting Republican, everybody shunned me. They called me all kind of terrible names. I wore a MAGA hat to a Democrat rally, and I got called the worst names you can think of. People spit at me because a fight would have broke out. And a nigga in a red hat. These white liberals called me a nigga in a red hat in front of black people. And then I wore a Biden Harris hat to a Trump rally, and I ain't got nothing but love. So it's like I don't even know, man. We just gotta be willing to have a basic conversation and just ask questions. And I think that's where we're missing out on because we get all the information from social media and all this other garbage.
For sure. And since we all black on here, you had talked about blacks were better in previous centuries. I'm gonna play this clip of what Charlie Kirk said and his final thoughts.
Well, when you hear Charlie Kirk talk about Black American progress or lack thereof, Charlie Kirk was influenced by Thomas Sowell, Shelby Steele, and Walter Williams. That's where he's getting that information from, right? So Charlie Kirk is not influenced by Huey P. Newton or Bobby Seale or different people, right? So he's influenced. He gets a lot of his talking points from Thomas Sowell, Shelby Steele, and Walter Williams, who are all great thinkers. But look, we're living in a technocracy. There ain't no coming together because it's algorithm supremacy, right? So the only way that would happen is if we would have to give up something right now that we really love. We would have to break the back of social media and the internet because we are all controlled by our algorithms. So when you meet me and I meet you, first we're going to have to get through a layer of talking points, right? First, we're going to have to get through confirmation bias, right? In order for humanity or America, the world to come together, we would have to put pressure on people that are software developers programming these algorithms. That's what we're all competing against. That's why we're not going to hear each other. That's why we're not going to feel each other because right now, the new Rome, the new Vatican, the Silicon Valley, they set the tone for how we talk. They set the tone for how we see each other. The Black gender war online, that's algorithms. The division between right and left, that's algorithms, right? And then when you're talking to a youth, the youth I land here, you are talking to people that were born into filters, born into augmented reality. So the conversation has to change. And finally, we have to destroy the binary. We're not dealing with left and right anymore. We're dealing with things that have mutated. So in order to hear the youth, they're not seeing these boundaries. They're born in the era of 4chan and all that kind of shit. But the only way we could really come together and close the divide is that algorithm have to change because that algorithm is what separates us.
For sure. And if you're watching right now, hit that subscribe button and press that notification bell to know when we go live. Mr. Rippey, thank you for coming. Give us your final thoughts and tell us what you think of the new party /ManCave.
I just want to say thank you all for having me on here, man. It's been a lot of fun. I love the open dialogue. We need more platforms like this where a conversation needs to be had because just like Ken just said, we need to start holding these people accountable. the algorithm. That's where we get all our information from, all our news from, and we're not talking to one another. Like I said, that's what Charlie Kirk was all about. I'm willing to talk to any and everybody. I would jump in the room of 100 people that disagree with me, and I will have a conversation with them. And if I can't change more than 20% of minds, that's fine. At least people are listening. People are open-minded. The problem is people are closed-minded because they already have a certain narrative in their mind that they want to believe is true. They want to believe because they are forced and they are conditioned to be a part of a certain element. And that's very problematic because I try to talk to people and I'll show them the evidence, I'll show them the proof, and they're still not willing to have a conversation with me. But the thing is, we need to get more people open, and we need to start holding, like he said, Silicon Valley, we need to start holding these people accountable. The people that really run everything, they say, oh, let's go ahead and make all this money, have them argue over, gender stuff. How many genders there are? Let's have them argue over black versus white. Let's have them argue over, forget about, the Jews, forget about Asians, always black versus white. It's always something racist. It's always something sexist. It's always something offensive. And we need to get out of that stuff and just start talking to one another. So that's why I love what y'all are doing, and I'm supporting y'all.
For sure. We'll definitely bring you back on. Doc, for sure. What's your final thoughts?
Oh, man. One of my final thoughts is left, right. Man, these people on the internet are crazy. Like, I mean, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not a content creator. I do not care about your opinion. You can inbox it to me. I will gladly not read it. And like, what's up with people? People getting online saying how they want to dox you. You know what I mean? Like, these people are crazy. Like, I think I've told people a couple of times my name, where I live. None of that stuff bothers me. I don't live on the internet. I don't care. My name is Zachary Briggs. I live in Savannah, Georgia. Y'all be blessed, man. Stop worrying about these crazy politicians.
For sure. Interesting final thoughts. We do this every Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Y'all come check it out with us. And like that guy said, you shouldn't be offended. It's really how someone says it. So you should try to learn from whoever and try to not be offended and just learn something. Like we always say on the new party /ManCave, always vote. Have a good